exact tension at all times, the exact thing you're looking for. Now you still hate that.
No, no, no. But I don't, because I totally understand why someone would enjoy watching that, because it's like anticlimactic and climactic at the same time.
I can't believe they even let you have the job you have with these terrible takes.
It's true, though. Everything I'm saying is true.
I've never heard you speak a truth.
Everything I'm saying is factual, I should say, because, you know, it's just the way it is. I mean, look, there's nothing worse than watching a bad football game. I'm not talking like American football. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing worse than watching, you know, the Zach Wilson Jets against Bryce Young led Carolina Panthers. That's dog shit. We all know that. That's terrible football. But, you know, from a betting perspective, it makes it more palatable.
What? You're depressing. You're a depressing person. It's not the way that I wanted to start my Thursday. You just hate everything.
Me?
I don't hate anything.
Dude, you live your life as a consummate contrarian.
No. Me?
Absolutely. Without question.
No, yeah. You know, all I do is go with the flow.
I'm sure chat would agree with that statement. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Stochastic.com MLB early live before lock. 4 games, then 6 games later. I really thought they'd just tack on that 650 game tonight, make it 7, but they didn't.
I'm cool.
Either way, besides the point, we got live before lock for the main slate. We got live before lock now for this 4-gamer. Have fun deciding on pitching this afternoon. That's going to be enjoyable. Yeah, Lance Lynn, Casey Mize, Ronaldo Lopez in a brutal spot, Cole Irvin in a equally brutal spot. Who am I missing? Oh, Patrick Corbin.
This slate is fucking gross, dude.
Yeah. Mitch Keller looks pretty good. I mean, look, this is what you get. This is what you get on these 4 games. It's better than a 3. Probably going to be some good leverage spots. Also, have you seen the weather and wind in some of these games?
It's a little bit. Nothing. I haven't like really made sure that I needed to make any adjustments or anything like that.
So, well, I mean, Vegas will account for that anyway. I'm not
sure.
But so in Kansas City, we know that it's not a particularly homer-friendly park, but winds blowing out to left center at 13 miles per hour, 93 degrees in this.
And that's
game.
Not even that's not even the hottest game in the early slate.
I know. It's nuts, man. Cardinals game getting up to 95. Tigers going to be 88. So is Baltimore and Atlanta.
I'm so happy that it's 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock for these 4 games instead of it being spread all the way to 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be a pretty fun experience, at least just because all of these games are going to be playing in a very tight chunk of time.
And the implied totals in some of these games are, like I saw so I saw before I looked at weather, like I always look at the Vegas lines and everything before I'm looking at weather. I would assume you're doing the same thing.
Yes.
Because that tells you the story anyway, without
first thing that goes into my sheet every single morning is the odds for each game.
Because that tells you, like, everything's baked into that anyway. But I saw the totals for these games, and I immediately went to look at the weather, right? Like that was my first thing was like, all right, let me just go and look at the weather here. You have, okay, so team total for the Yankees right now is 6.3. I don't know if it came down at all with Stanton out of the lineup, but
I have it at 5.8. So yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, we have it at 6.3. Like I said, maybe it came down a little bit once the lineup was released. But besides,
I mean, we're usually like 0.3 of a run or so higher,
right.
So that all makes sense.
Either way, it's around 6 at Kauffman Stadium. Detroit,
that's hard to do, by the way.
What's that?
That's hard to do.
Really hard to do.
Yeah,
like that's some Coors lines. That's higher than most Rockies lines at Coors for sure.
Yeah.
Detroit is 5.3. Atlanta's at 5. Kansas City at 5-1. Washington, Pittsburgh, Baltimore between 4-6 and 4-9. Even St. Louis at 4-4. Like, there are no bottomed out totals on this slate at all.
No, it's heavy offense. It's bad pitching pretty much across the board. We're going to get 4 games that are like 3-1, 2-0, 3-0. And your best bet for pitching is going to be some reliever.
It is a unique slate, to say the least.
It really is. It's when I loaded it all up and I saw that Casey Mize was looking like he was going to be my most exposed pitcher and he was the ass bottom of the salary tier. I was like, oh, cool. Not only that, like I'm going to get, it's Tigers Nats. That's the one that I'm going to have to put on and watch.
Yeah,
I mean, clear, because I can't watch the Orioles and the Braves game.
Ooh.
Stupid Orioles are blacked out here. So I can't even watch the one game that I would want to watch at 1 o'clock because apparently I live too close to Baltimore.
They blacked that out?
Yeah. There's a full state in between us.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't get Orioles and Nats games.
How do you guys not have a baseball team?
I don't know.
Seems kind of odd, right? Like, no, I mean,
yes and no.
I mean, it does.
I mean, I think that we'd be able to support, I don't know, like nobody goes to baseball games. Nobody would ever give a shit.
Yeah, but you could say that about a lot of other teams that have franchises.
Yeah, but like the only place you're ever going to put it is Charlotte. And I just don't think they'd care.
Yeah, but like they have a hockey team.
Yeah.
You tell me people care more about hockey in North Carolina than they do baseball? There's no way.
No, but like,
and the Panthers, dude, the Panthers have a big fan. Or I'm sorry, the Hurricanes have a big fan base.
NFL doesn't count. NFL's different.
No. I said Hurricanes. I mixed. I'm saying
yeah.
Carolina Hurricanes.
The only reason I see the Hurricanes different is like you don't have to build the PNC Arena for the Hurricanes, but if you're building a baseball stadium, like you got to build $1 billion baseball stadium at this point. Somewhere in like I don't think they have the pull for it.
I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying Carolina is a team that you would expect to have like 4 major franchises. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the real problem is just simply that everybody in North Carolina, like I'm generalizing here, but like everybody's a Braves fan.
Well, of course, they have to be.
Like, one, it was basically the closest team that you were going to get to. You know, we're talking about either that or Baltimore. And then 2, because of TBS for everybody in North Carolina, like the Braves were the team that they saw. Everybody growing up saw Atlanta more than they saw anything else. So like at that point, once you have a whole state where it's just like, well, we love the Braves. It's just like, we're going to put a team here.
I do wonder if they could cultivate something. I feel like they could. Maybe not. So like everybody in Tennessee, since there's no Tennessee baseball, are they Braves fans too?
I don't know. I don't give a fuck about those landlocked states.
I would assume everybody has to be.
Who cares what people in Tennessee do? The donut hole of America. Who cares?
Oh yeah, I forgot. You spit on flyovers. Not that they're a flyover state, but anyway,
who goes to Tennessee on purpose?
Happy to have
been to Nashville. It sucks.
Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to the channel. Much appreciated. All of that support goes a very long way. So single second to atone for your sins here. Subtle reminder for those of you who forgot. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe. Follow Josh at Josh Engleman on Twitter, me at Lafay_D. You see it right under our names there. And yeah, let's talk some baseball. All right. Well, Einsteinium actually with a super chat out of the gate. What's up, dude? Good afternoon, fellas. Can you make a case for Cole Irvin over Lance Lynn today? I'll tell you what, brother. I think you could make a case for any of these guys.
Almost any, but yeah.
Probably less so Corbin, but I really do. Okay, so for example, I have the same amount of Cole Irvin as Lance Lynn today. My exposures are the flattest they've been. my exposures are so insanely flat that I essentially have 7 guys between 20 and 26%, and then Mitch Keller at 41.
Yeah, I think you and I are looking at the slate pretty similarly then. I have 66% of Mize, 62% of Lynn, and 50% of Mitch Keller. Everybody else in single digits, and I don't have Corbin or Marsh. So basically the same.
So nothing even close.
No, not even remotely close.
I'm not surprised these exposures, for me at least, are so flat. I mean, try and make a definitive argument to distinguish one from the other. Like, I personally think that Mitch Keller is the best option on this slate at his price point. I think he's underpriced. He got off to a rough start this season after inking that big contract, but then, he's been much better. I mean, he's been very good. The St. Louis team is not very good themselves. They have the lowest total on the slate. Like, if I had to separate one from the others, to me, it aligns with my exposures, and that's without me making any adjustments. I do think that Mitch Keller at his price point is the best pitching option on the slate.
Yeah, I have him projected for the most fantasy points. He's got a decent matchup. Like, the Cardinals offense isn't very good. They don't strike out all that much. This isn't really the best lineup for Mitch Keller. But 8K price tag makes it pretty easy. It's a park that doesn't give up a lot of power to righties. It's the game with the lowest total by quite a bit, even with the temperature in that game. I mean, he's my third most exposed pitcher, and he's in half of my stuff, so I don't really have much of a disagreement on Keller. My problematic guy is Casey Mize.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, if we're being, if we're looking at this objectively, Washington has the second lowest total on the slate.
Yeah, they're not very good. But
neither is Casey Mize.
That's what that was my butt. Because he stinks too.
Yeah, Casey Mize is not particularly good. He's what he's at. He has a 15. He has an 8% K minus BB rate this year.
You trying to tell me that's not very good?
Trying to tell you it doesn't get me excited. Sure. He does get a lot of ground balls, 50% ground balls. Look, I've said this to you. I've said it to pretty much anyone. If I wanted to, I can make you can make an argument with the abundance of stats that you have in baseball, Josh. You can make a favorable argument for anyone.
Yeah, especially on a 4-gamer. Like,
correct.
Everybody's rosterable in the right lineup construction. You can make high sim ROI lineups with any combination of those two pitchers for today.
Yeah.
Or at least close to it.
Now, granted, it's not good. He has a 7.9% swinging strike rate. I can assure you of this. I'd have a much easier time making the argument against Casey Mize.
Yeah. Those arguments come off the tongue way quicker.
They do. If you look at his expected rates this year, I haven't looked yet. I can't imagine they're.
I'm going to go ahead and assume they're not good.
Actually, not that bad.
Certainly, they're not very good, is my guess.
I mean, okay, X ISO, 128 X ISO versus righties. That's actually very good. Very good.
Yeah.
180 versus lefties. That's fine. So, 346 X WOBA and 363 or 315 X WOBA aren't exactly, great. It's the strikeout rate with Casey Mize that I dislike the most. Because
are you trying to tell me that over the last year and a half, you're not excited for a 15% K rate to lefties and a 14% K rate to righties? Or is that what you're trying to tell me?
Precisely what I'm trying to tell you.
Interesting. Oh my God. Okay, that's a take I wasn't expecting.
You have to look at the game log too, as far as strikeouts go. Like, pull his game log up.
It's gonna look like a can of SpaghettiOs.
Like, his last 4 games, 1, 4, 0, and 2 strikeouts.
How many? I need to add all those together for a good game today.
Yeah. Yeah.
1, 4, 0, 2.
He snuck a 6 in there against Miami.
He struck out the Yankees 6 times and the Rangers 6 times.
And the Rangers. And then aside from that, it's just all 4 and 2s.
I mean, 5.95 Ks per nine is shit.
It's so bad.
14.8% K rate is shit. It's actually a testament to him that he only has a 4.1 FIP.
Yeah.
And he hasn't, like, his BABIP is probably leaning slightly more unlucky. He's been good with runners on. No, he's been worse with runners on. Sorry. Looked at that percentage wrong. So, like, he's been a little unlucky with BABIP and guys scoring, but he's been like a league average pitcher. I don't know how all of those ingredients make a league average pitcher. It feels like all those ingredients make a Burger King cheeseburger, but
We're doing our best here, man. We're trying.
by the way, this is the guy that I have the most of. I'm really excited to chat him up.
Do you want to hear his home splits?
I bet they look real bad.
4.7 Ks per nine, 12% strikeout rate, 405 xFIP. I mean, look, hey, the guy 405 xFIP. That's fine. That's average.
It was at this moment that I learned that he was the number one overall pick.
When was he really?
2018.
Did he get strikeouts at the minors?
Had to. Had to. Right?
I would think. I mean, 2021 with the Tigers, he pitched 150 innings. I'm not even including 2022.
No, he did not get strikeouts in the minors, other than like, single A his first year type shit. He was at 19 and a half. I mean, he's basically been up the entire time, too. Like, he threw 13 innings of rookie ball and high A ball. And then in 2019, he threw about 100 innings across high A and double A. And then he's pretty much just been in the majors since then.
Wow.
Or hurt or whatever the hell has happened to him. Like, he didn't pitch at all last year. But, I mean, we're talking about a dude that just simply has no stuff.
I want to hold on. Let me go into the probable pitchers page for today and just look at the K rates for these guys.
Can you imagine a $7.5 million signing bonus coming out of what I assume was high school?
Is that what he got?
Yeah. No, maybe it looks like he was 21. He was probably in college, but even still, like, he could have been in high school. Could you imagine that? It's like
Incredible.
June 1st. You just walked graduation, and then you go through the draft, and they're like, "Here's $8 million."
Yeah. He's like, I don't need to learn how to strike guys out. Patrick Corbin, 13.8% K rate. So
Makes Casey Mize look like Nolan Ryan.
I'm gonna say Casey Mize did not have the lowest K rate on the slate.
That's hard to do.
14.8 for Mize. By the way, we have a large enough sample this season by far to know what we're looking at. Cole Irvin, 16.7% strikeout rate. Alec Marsh, 21.8. Lance Lynn, 21.8. His strikeout stuff has fallen off precipitously this year.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he's not allowing power, right? Like, remember, with Lance Lynn, it was always against righties, he's great. He'll strike him out at a 30% clip, and then he'll give up 3 homers a game to lefties. He's not really giving up power. He's just not striking anyone out. Mitch Keller, 22% K rate.
I mean, there's not like Ronaldo Lopez leads the slate this year at 24.8.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even good. Like, it's fine. Like, it's,
it's above average, but it's not elite.
No. Let's see what the average is for starters.
I thought it was 23% this year, but I saw that earlier. That sounds high though.
21.8.
Okay.
For starting pitching.
Okay.
So far this year. Let's see if that's changed at all.
If you included relievers, I bet that goes up to around 23.
It's basically just been 22 for years. 21.8 this year, 22 last year, 21.6 the year before, 22.6 the year before that. Basically, for short form, if you want to compare pitchers, if you want to just lock this into your head, 22% K rate is league average.
Yeah.
It'll be good to like lock that into my brain now that I've looked. 7.5 to 8 is the standard walk rate. Homers per 9, though, that's the one that wiggles. 1.1 this year, 1.3 last year, 1.1 the year before that, 1.3 the year before that.
Jay Reed says, Jesus, do some research. He pitched at Auburn and is coming off Tommy John. Why would I care about any of that?
I don't give a shit about either one of those things.
No. And yes, I mentioned he pitched 10 innings last year. Fully aware. And guess what? The year before that, Casey Mize had a 19% strikeout rate across 150 innings.
I forgot to put the checkbox in. Guy came from Auburn. Need to give him a boost.
All I care about is that through 59 innings this year, he has a 14% K rate.
Luffy, you don't know the injury history and the colleges and high schools of the 25 active rostered players for all 30 MLB teams? What a joke.
Truly means nothing to me.
Yeah, I don't get his college stats.
What's that?
I don't get his college stats today.
No, I mean, I don't know shit about any of that. Admittedly.
No. Why would you?
Ronaldo Lopez, by the way, I mean, he's been very good. He's had a pretty easy stretch. Like he's had some pretty easy matchups. Not all of them, but he's had some nice ones. You know, Pittsburgh, Oakland, Washington, Seattle, Miami, Mets when they were terrible at the beginning of the season, White Sox. He's had some good. He's also been fantastic. The concern that I have, he hasn't thrown more. He's thrown 90 pitches once in the last 2 months. I think I voiced this to you the other week. Like he's worked very efficiently, don't get me wrong, but they definitely have him on a shorter leash than I would have hoped. Like if he, put it this way, if he comes out of the 6th or the 5th with 84 pitches, I don't see how he comes back for the 6th or the 7th.
I thought that was going to be the case for Skeens 2 days ago, and then they rolled him back out there. So never say never. Slightly different talent level, though.
I just mean Lopez, from what we've seen, we haven't had any of that. Like he's done 70 and 71 pitches in 2 of his last 5, 83, 87, 86. He can still get you there.
I don't even know how to talk about this slate today. Every time I think I look at something and I'm like, okay, that's probably the way I want to go. I rerun my stuff and it's like, no, it's not. This sucks.
Do you have Cortez?
8%.
Okay.
Which I'm not exactly comfortable with. But not a lot of strikeouts in the Royals lineup. Garcia, Witt, Pascantino all strike out less than 20%. Those are going to be the guys that are hitting 1, 2, 3. It's not the most ideal spot for Cortez.
And that weather.
Yeah, not helpful. That's for sure.
But that, I'll be honest with you, it almost has to be ignored to some extent. The weather.
I mean, since it's everywhere, it really doesn't matter.
That's what I mean. Yeah. The
I'm with you
totals
there.
are 8.5 between Pittsburgh, St. Louis, 10.5 with the overjuiced at 10.5, minus 118, 9.5 between the Nats and Tigers, and 9 overjuiced between the Braves and the Orioles. Don't get me wrong. It's not like there's a lot of good pitching on this slate, but any other day, this Yankees Royals game is sitting at like an 8.5 or a 9-run total.
Oh yeah, if it was just like 70 degrees, everything changes
with no wind. I think it'd probably be overjuiced to 8.5. You know?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Say 9 if you want, but you're still gaining 1.5, 2 runs on the total. It's a lot for a baseball game. That's a lot.
I just keep looking at my pitching exposures and knowing that I have to just sit through this death for like 3 hours.
For what it's worth. And I mentioned this to you, but just to kind of circle back for anyone that's hopping in late, I do have 21% I have 23% Irvin. I have 25% Cortez, 25% Lopez, 26% Lanson. I can't remember the last time I've seen something like this. 19% Marsh. That is, you want to talk about, you think getting to Casey Mize getting any Alec Marsh is terrifying.
Yeah, but where did he go to college?
Oh, can't remember.
Wherever it, I don't know. I was going to try to make that's where they found Gabby Petrino, but I couldn't get there with Marsh.
Oh, that's a terrible joke, man.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out fast enough, but I wanted to get it out a little bit.
But Dog the Bounty Hunter looking for Brian Laundrie was one of the wildest things ever. Like
Dog the
he was
Bounty
gonna
Hunter and
find
Steven Seagal are super similar to the public.
absolutely. But the fact that like that any first when he was doing it, everyone went crazy. He was trying to get relevant again, clearly. But to think that like he's the guy you need, he, he, he was he was hunting down meth heads in Hawaii. This isn't exactly you know the best sleuth out there.
He's
You were tossing crackheads up against the wall, and like, oh, good, Dog the Bounty Hunter's on the case. They'll find him.
what a wild dude.
That whole story was nuts, but it was so evident and obvious at the time what had happened.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, it was so clear.
I that stuff.
Oh,
That stuff,
we think he's hiding in the Everglades or whatever, whatever swamps. It's like, you don't hide there.
right? But also,
You will be eaten by dinosaurs.
of course. But the point also that like Brian Laundrie is a suspect. Oh, you don't say. The guy,
The only guy that was with her.
the guy who went missing and parents won't speak to the police. That not him. No, couldn't be. Ridiculous.
Super sleuth down there, man.
That's what I'm saying.
We're going to get to the bottom of it.
You get people being like, "I told you it was him." Huh.
Well, that's what happens. Well, like if everybody's gonna be so dumb about it, that's why we got to call in Dog the Bounty Hunter. It's like if you guys are gonna treat this like a farce, so are we.
Exactly. Exactly. No, Larry, I haven't seen this stuff released lately by the FBI, but I'm always open to looking at that. Jake
I feel
DeWitt,
like
FBI. Hold on,
ahead.
Jake DeWitt, FBI, CIA, ATF, Dog the Bounty Hunter. Exactly.
Dog the Bounty Hunter just strikes me as the type of guy that also owns like a tow yard.
Oh yeah.
Like they're going and repoing cars and
Yeah.
shit.
By the way, Brian Laundrie drove home across the country by himself without her. You don't think that was slightly
It must have been so
suspicious?
satisfying. She's not touching the dials to the music and stuff. He could just sing and dance and do whatever he needs to do, stop whenever he wants. He doesn't have to wait for her to be like, I gotta go pee.
I have a feeling that was a very nervous 2,500-mile drive home.
Or the most satisfying 2,500-mile drive he's ever taken.
You're gonna get yourself in some trouble, dude.
Why? Dude, he killed her. I'm not going to assume that like he was nervous afterwards. I'm going to
Right, you're
assume
right.
he's
He
a
clearly wanted
psychopath
to-
and he was just listening to Freebird for 100 miles on 95.
He did write that too in that journal they found in the Everglades. He said, "All I wanted was some peace and quiet."
Never been more relatable.
What are your pitching exposures again?
As of this current moment, call it 50 to 60% on Keller, Lynn, Mize, and then a very scattered amount to Irvin, Cortez, and Lopez.
Okay. I have more Keller than anybody.
I think that's probably the best place to start today.
That's what I'm kind of trying to drive. He's gonna get just destroyed now, probably. But
The Alec Marsh, Pat Corbin nut combo today is really gonna sting.
Yankees get blanked. Yeah. Talk about some stacks.
Here's the real problem with what I just said. Alec Marsh in our data has a 17% chance to be a top 2 pitcher. I have it at 14. Let's just call it 15 for right now. Pat Corbin is at 17. I have it at 13. Let's call it 15 for right now. Like the two of them are the number, like the nut combo at pitching, like 3% of the time. Like once a month, you get those two idiots as the two best dudes from this early slate.
Well, you make a good point though. When you're looking at top 2 pitcher probability, there's really nothing to look at where you go, I can't play that guy.
No, they're like wildly underowned.
Isn't that kind of just where you have to land? I'm not saying you not land on those guys, but I'm saying the thought process. The thought process that you eventually have to arrive at is like all of these guys have a more than decent enough chance of being in an optimal lineup on a 2-pitcher site. Like on FanDuel, we're not talking about Marsh and Corbin, and like you don't need to do any of that on FanDuel.
No, not at all. It's so different. But like when you start looking at Casey Mize being 30% owned, Marsh and Corbin are 3.
Right.
Like Casey Mize is not 10-1 to be beating Marsh or 10-1 to be beating Corbin. It's not even close. It's like
that's a really
60-40.
That's a really good point at 31% ownership.
Yeah, like Mize's chances of being a top 2 pitcher between mine and the site is like 25%, and Corbin's at like 15.
Right. Casey Mize is very live for a 2 strikeout game.
That could be his ceiling based on everything we just looked at.
Yeah, it's very now that I think about it, it's also just possible. Like none of these pitchers are particularly good. Like none of them
Corbin, Marsh, and Mize might all score 10 fantasy points, and it doesn't matter who you have.
Right. Again, they're fine as an SP2.
Yep. I hate every bit of this.
Me too. On paper, though, like Keller looks the best.
Yeah.
I don't hate Lopez just because he's been good. I'm less worried about the pitch count on a slate like this, where every pitcher could just, be pretty flat. Like if there's a 10-game slate, you're not touching Ronaldo Lopez.
No, you are not.
That's a good question.
You are very not touching Ronaldo Lopez.
Casey Mize strikeout prop?
3.5. It's like a free. It's like a free square. It's 0.5.
Yeah. That's the furthest thing from a free square.
No.
All right. Well, I mean, under 3.5. Pinnacle has it at -111. FanDuel has it -126. Essentially, you look at these projections, just like market based, you're looking at, 3.5 strikeouts would be around this projection.
I want to snap take the under.
I was truly thinking if you're doing it, do it on Caesars. You got good odds there.
Volpe Harris.
Marsh 4.5. Juice to the under. Take a guess on Corbin.
3.5 to the under.
You think? Think to the under? Probably. I bet there's not much juice on either side. Yeah, so -120. This is rough.
These are not the most fun things to sweat today, that's for sure.
Cortez 5.5, heavy juice on the under. Jeez. All right. Okay.
I'm putting my lineups in.
Lance Lynn. What's he at? Oh, is there not a strikeout prop on Lynn right now?
There's a couple props that don't exist so far this morning.
You'd think Lynn would have one.
Maybe they can't lock it down either.
Maybe. And there's some, you look at the main slate, there's some great pitchers going today. Like you have, wait, really?
That can't be right. That's not right.
No, even if it's plus money, hold on.
I got him at 4.9.
Where is that? What is that? Typico? Is that Typico, Jordan? Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Well, that's wild. Would you have thought it was anywhere close to 6.5?
Under 5.5 is -134 at FanDuel per Odds Shopper.
So then if that's 6.5 is really a typical, what are the odds? What are the odds on 6.5 there? Jordan?
Under's got to be like,
yeah. What is it? 170? All right. Just curious. He has one game with more than 5 strikeouts in his last 8. Lance Lynn. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's big.
Talk about some bats.
Do it.
Sublime asks, why is Lopez projection so low? I would say two reasons. One, the pitch count is a little bit concerning, but also very difficult matchup against Baltimore. He's good, don't get me wrong, very good. But the weather there too. 88 degrees, winds blowing out left center at 10 miles per hour. Really good hitting conditions in all of these games. Let's get into some bats.
By
the way, you guys want to check out the Sims. A lot of people signed up for that PGA Sims for the week, for the US Open.
It's good to see.
Why would you not? Why would you not take advantage of that? You guys want to jump in, get the Sims, get ownership, player projections, the top stacks tool, top pitchers tool, top hitters tool, premium Discord, everything. Contest generator, lineup simulator, post-contest simulator, late swap. But you'd be surprised how valuable that is for baseball. I actually use it quite often.
Yeah. When you like today, if like the Pirates Cardinals game was 4 o'clock and you got some lineup fuckery, it makes it very easy to just toss in your file and optimize based on whatever moved around.
Yeah, which is also nice too. You don't have to paste it into another file and then save it and then put it back in. You can literally just upload it straight to DraftKings or FanDuel, which is very nice once you've saved that. But yeah, link in the description and in chat. You could do a week, you can do a month, play it however you want. The tools have been fantastic. I saw a bunch of stochastic avatars at the top yesterday. Got a bunch of tweets as well from people rocking them using the Sims. So you're going to build better lineups. It's going to be easier. You have full autonomy over how you do it too. Like Josh always says, though, run them first. Don't touch anything. Just run them first. And then if you want to make adjustments, go for it. Like if you're going, my God, I just don't want any of that Alec Marsh. Don't remove him from the player pool. Just boost, negative boost or positive boost up Keller if you want more of him. Set exposure caps, ROI boost, all of that stuff. There's just so many things you can do with this. We keep evolving and expanding all of the options. Very, very cool. I talk about the Sims as if we don't have all of the other stuff, but that's kind of the one where I think you'll spend most of your time, Josh.
Oh, God. I love our tools. We just have a spot for everybody. Lineup generator, Sims, like you're just, no matter which one of those two things you start with, no matter which one of those two things you pick, you are just immediately changing your median lineups. You are immediately creating significantly better lineups than you ever were before. And you could do it the cheap way with the lineup generator. You could do it the slightly more expensive way with the Sims tool, get a little bit more granular, get a little bit more hands-on if you want to, but regardless, you're making better lineups by using this stuff.
No doubt. Love to have you guys over there. Say hi in Discord too if you decide to check them out. Link in the description and in the chat. That's all you got to do. Talking bats here. Yankees 26% top stack probability. No surprise. They have what, a six plus total. Detroit against Corbin is up there. But here's the truth. Once again, just like pitching, once you get past Yankees, all of these teams look quite similar outside of St. Louis. Like even Baltimore against Lopez, I don't love that. But like Pittsburgh against Lynn, Washington against Mize, even KC against Cortez with that weather, Atlanta against Irvin, Detroit against Corbin. How do you differentiate here?
I'm not with the Yankees. They're my number one stack right now. I'm having a lot of trouble getting away from them. Marsh isn't very good. There's infinite power in this Yankees lineup, whether that's Soto, whether that's Judge. One of those two guys is probably likely to homer just out of the two of them, probably more Judge, just given that righty power is a little bit better in KC. So I am eating a lot. I'm eating all of the Yankees chalk, but the team that I'm getting to that isn't as highly owned would be my Atlanta Braves.
All right.
And I like that too. Cole Irvin gives up a boatload of power to righties. Now, that doesn't necessarily play in Baltimore as much, but I think the weather should help that out. And he doesn't give up much power to lefties, but the park plays that up. So I think it improves the lefties a little bit for Atlanta. The righties, from a park factor, get nicked. But if it's going to be 90 degrees against Cole Irvin, I'll take my chances. Not to mention, Marcell Ozuna doesn't need help to hit a dong. Austin Riley doesn't need help to hit a dong. Adam Duvall doesn't need help to hit a dong. These are three righties that should be live to just tee off on Cole Irvin.
I will say though, when I consider this, so you kind of zoom out on it, the more I start to actually have interest in St. Louis bats, honestly, because all of these
Okay.
guys have to pitch in the same brutal pitching weather, and there's still winds blowing out in St. Louis, only 8 miles per hour, but you know, still blowing out 95 degrees. I think St. Louis might truly make for a really good leverage spot.
My second lowest exposed team.
I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is when you're getting a day where weather across the board is wild and Mitch Keller is pulling 45% ownership.
Yeah.
It's not one of those days
it.
where what's that?
I see it.
Yeah. It's just not one of those days where I'd have a huge issue if I ended up on a decent amount of St. Louis.
No,
On
I mean,
paper,
look,
I don't love
7% top stack odds. Like that's
well, when you consider 7% top stack odds and take the Yankees out of it, it's actually not that crazy. Because
like, if you think about that at 1 every 14 days, they're dead last in stack odds, and they're still like not that bad.
right. And nobody else other than the Yankees, nobody's above 12%.
No. And
I still think
obviously, like being on the opposite side of the Cardinals, like 44% of the lineups are dead if you're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, a lot of those would be mine too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, like, also all of those lineups, like, you assume people have a lot of Cardinals in the non-Mitch Keller lineup. So, like, it does sort of like funnel you into more success, but still, like, they're going to be. I'm surprised they're grabbing 8% ownership, but that's still dead last.
Right. I'm not sure there's an argument to be made against any of these teams, but
No.
I guess just look, it's like, all right, well, Detroit's getting 17% ownership. It's still Detroit. They're still not a great baseball team.
No.
You know, Corbin gives up a lot of power to righties. Don't get me wrong. But even Lance Lynn, you know, Pittsburgh has a good top stack probability. They're not getting much ownership, though. I will say that much. But what about Pittsburgh? What about Pittsburgh?
They were a team I had a ton of when we first started this.
It's 95 degrees there.
A little warm.
I'm just saying, man.
They're my third most exposed team. But I don't have, I'm not like major stacking them. Like I have 15 5-mans of the Yankees. I have 13 5-mans of Atlanta. I only have 2 of Pittsburgh, but I have 5 4-mans. I've got a couple 3-mans. I've got a couple 2-mans. So I'm getting the most, like I'm not really getting overwhelming stacks of Pittsburgh, but I do have a decent chunk of them in pretty much everything that I'm doing.
Which makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Lance Lynn, no, he hasn't given up a lot of power at all. He's been good, but he hasn't been great. There's nothing about Lance Lynn that like will blow you away. So
no.
What's the total is that game? Is that really only an 8.5? I guess it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty much positioned to where like I'm gonna have like hold on, let me pull my Yankees exposure.
I have so much Mitch Keller and Lance Lynn that I'm just assuming that like everywhere I don't have Lynn, I've got all of those different Pirates stacks and bats. Everywhere I don't have Mitch Keller is where I'm getting to Burleson and Goldschmidt and Gorman. And it's just like rotating around Atlanta stacks and Yankee stacks.
Man, yeah, Yankees clearly my highest exposed teams. But you know what's funny? You'll appreciate this. While they are my highest exposed team, when I look at all of the highest sims, right? Like in the sims, I look at the highest simmed lineups, like the best ranking lineups. Say you were just to pull the top 10,
Uh-huh.
only some, like a lot of them aren't Yankees. It's like of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 10 aren't Yankee stacks at the top. And I think a lot of that just comes down to the fact that like the ownership and leverage you're getting on some of these other spots.
Yeah, I mean, like I've got an Atlanta 5-man is my third highest ranked stack. 2 Washington 5-mans are 4th and 5th. St. Louis is 8th. Detroit is 9th. Pittsburgh is 11th and 12th. Like I'm getting all of those random teams near the top.
Exactly. Just because if they happen to go nuts, you are separating yourself from a lot. I mean, what's the Yankees 23% stack ownership on the Yankees? What's their individual ownership look like?
It's nothing too ridiculous.
Right, I wouldn't think it is.
Like Judge is 34%. But again, it's a 4-game slate and he's the best hitter in baseball. Like I'm not shocked that he's in a third of lineups.
Right.
Soto is in 30%. Again, that is not a surprising thing on a 4-game slate, but a little over 20 to Volpe, a little over 20 to Torres, and then, just under 20 for everybody else. I'm like way under on LeMahieu, way under on Austin Wells, but I'm way over on Verdugo. Volpe's the guy that I have the most of. I'm just a huge fan of road bats in the leadoff spot. I got him projected for 5 plate appearances today. That's just so much offense.
Absolutely. Are any other teams just hold on a second? Yeah, like who are the highest owned players today?
I can give you all of that. Judge,
Not pitchers,
Soto,
obviously.
Vierling is 3rd. Torres is 4th. Volpe is 5th. I mean, 4 of the top 5 are Yankees.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't love eating that chalk, but like they've got a 5.8 run implied total here against Alec Marsh. Like sometimes you don't want to, like sometimes you just got to get out of your own way.
I get it. But also, it's baseball.
Yeah. I'm happy to have a chunk of them. And then it's like, oh, I've got a 3-man Pirates stack with them. And then I have Mize and Keller or something. But I don't know. It's a little hard to get different here today.
Let's see. Yeah, St. Louis is very low owned. I'm just going through the teams to see like individual team ownership.
Yeah, only Goldschmidt and Gorman are above 10.
That's it. Pittsburgh's getting a little bit. Reynolds, Cruz, Hayes, 10 plus.
I mean, technically Pittsburgh and St. Louis are the same. 8.9% aggregate to Pittsburgh, 8.4 to the Cardinals.
They seem very similar today. They do.
Which is interesting because I would much rather have Pittsburgh than St. Louis.
Agreed. Kansas City's not that. I mean, really, I could go through all of these and I think I'm going to find the same thing. It's just the Yankees are the ones that are getting that insane ownership. That's it. And
I'm
by
like
insane,
neutral
I mean,
on Kansas City.
What's that?
I'm like neutral on Kansas City. I've got 20 plus of Garcia and Witt. I don't have nearly as much Pasquantino as I was expecting to have.
They're my second highest exposed stack right now, Kansas City.
For me, it goes Yankees, Braves, and they're on an island, 27% and 26%. And then it's Pirates, Nats, Royals, all at basically 12.
Okay. Yankees, Royals.
So I'm getting 12% of the Nats against Casey Mize. So like everywhere I have Mize in 44. Everywhere I don't have Mize, I'm definitely getting like a decent chunk of the Nats.
Yankees, Royals, Pirates, Cardinals for me. To be fair, there's a pretty big gap after you get past the Royals for me. But yeah, definite exposure to that St. Louis Pittsburgh game. I don't hate it at all. Do not hate it. Really don't.
I hate most of this, that's for sure.
Ryan said, Laffy, could you stack the pitchers from St. Louis, Pittsburgh? Yeah, of course. I mean, there's no real correlation there, sure. I mean, outside of the win.
Yeah,
But
I don't care about that.
no, especially not on the daily. Yeah, no, you could do that, no problem. Ends up being a low scoring game.
Am I boring you?
Always, brother.
That makes sense. That's right answer.
Oh, underdog. If you're not there yet, $250 first match deposit bonus, 50%, $250 up to. So whatever you put in, up to 250 bucks. Best ball, daily drafts, pick 'em contests, everything. They got it all. They got everything. I'll convince Josh to get in on some best ball action with me this year.
Never.
I already got Ben. Ben's excited about it.
You'll never get me.
Oh man, it's great.
Dude, I don't do it for the NBA, and that's the one that I could do.
I feel like you should next time though. Honestly.
I've been saying that for 2 years. And then it comes around and I don't do it.
I mean, you do your own projections.
Yeah, I could do all of it.
And
it wouldn't even take a lot of work.
Right. But I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
you're not going to, our projections aren't going to be up until right around the season since they're DFS, but you could have projections ready to go long before the season starts.
I could have it all the day after the finals.
Have that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just like general knowledge of rookies and how they'll play is just in my head for late round picks. Yeah, I still don't do it. I hate it. I don't like the format.
I would purchase some equity in your lineups if you did it.
I don't like the format.
I do. Love it. Anyway, check it out. Big bonus over there. They do a lot of free squares for Pick'em, especially if you're in non-legal betting states. I think you'll love it. Anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think so. We've pretty much touched on everybody. My most exposed individual bats are Albies, Volpe, Harris, Judge, Austin Riley, Travis d'Arnaud. It's really just, I need the Braves or the Yankees to be the nuts. Ultimately, I would like Atlanta to be the highest scoring team. If Atlanta's the highest scoring team, then I'm going to have lineups at the top somewhere because of how they're owned in comparison to what I have. Unless Orlando Arcia is the only guy that goes yard today. He's the only guy I don't have in the Atlanta lineup, but he's the 9-hole hitter, so I'm going to take my chances.
It's funny you say that because, like, I feel like for me to really have a chance at the top, it would be like if Keller or Lynn gets shelled. Yeah. But I also have a lot of Keller or Lynn.
It's going to cut your min cashes big time if that happens.
Big time. Right. That's going to be one where I need like a top 1%.
Everything's Atlanta for me. If those guys get like 7 or 8 runs, I should have a decent enough day. Because I don't have Cole Irvin. He's getting a little bit of ownership. As long as the Braves can succeed there, then it's down to 3 games, and I just have to hope that I get 2 of those pitchers correct. I need to get I need at least 2 of Keller, Lynn, Mize to be good today.
Yes.
And if that happens, I can be okay.
Pierre and Envious said, do we have any home run calls? I mean, honestly, the simplest one is Judge. I had Stanton. I really liked Stanton. I like Pete Alonso for tonight against Munoz a lot at plus 425 MGM, your best odds, 410 on Caesars as well. But I like those spots a lot. You got anything?
I'm going to load my stuff very quickly. It'll take me a minute, but I'm going to find out what my best home run prop is for right now. It doesn't take long.
All right.
Maybe it does.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys back here for the next one. Appreciate you hanging out as always. Josh will tell you after we're not live anymore. Maybe he'll even tweet it. I don't know. But anyway.
It's not refreshing, so.
That's all right. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you back here live before lock later tonight. Peace.